In this video, I talked to Dave Fox about white hat outreach. He's had fantastic luck over the last few months getting these like really awesome backlinks, and it's through like pure white hat outreach, and it's actually, a great approach. So during this period, he got a handful of links, but the cool part is his revenue and traffic doubled during that period. So it's a very simple approach. However, it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to do. Let's get into the details. And by the way, we have the templates that we can get to you that Dave used. So sort of the series of emails to send and how to approach this kind of work. So without further ado, let's hear from Dave. Hey, it's Doug Cunnington here. I'm hanging out with my friend Dave. What's going on?
Hello. Not much.
Dave and I are going to talk about white hat outreach in this video. And Dave, you've had some pretty good success over the last little stretch with this outreach plan. So can you give us an idea of the results, like before and after, like the traffic and earnings?
Yeah, I have this one site that I've been working on the past year, and one of the strategies we attempted with this site is to do some serious outreach, and I was a little bit leery about it because I've never really like a huge outreach guy, but we tried it, and it seems to be like doing really well for us right now. And so in the past like 3 months, we've doubled our traffic from like say 500 users a day to like 1,000 users a day, which is pretty significant, and it's like really affected our like bottom line as well.
Gotcha. Did the earnings pretty much double as well?
Yeah, like we had a really like last month was like a crazy good month for us, and I owe it at least a lot of it to the outreach for sure. I think, like you can never say for sure, but it's like the one thing that like is completely different from my other sites. And it's just like, this is the most dramatic kind of like boost I've seen.
Cool. And I mean, like your traffic doubled, so it's fair to assume like has a huge
well, even when you like, we'll get into this, but just the nature of this type of outreach, I think has like a lot of benefits.
Cool.
So
all right, so this is a little unconventional. It's not necessarily like original, but people usually don't take this route. Yeah, I'll just tell folks, like typically, the outreach that we hear about, it's like you send out a bunch of cold emails to some list of prospects, which hopefully they're like in your niche or related niche, and you just ask them if you could guest post, or maybe they, will insert a link for you in an existing post, and you just, pray that your shotgun approach is going to work. And it does convert. I mean, I know people can get a lot of links through sending out a whole lot of emails, but this is way more surgical and I guess a lot more focused. It can be considered like a lot more work, but when you hear the results, like it's hard to argue with them. So I've heard this called like ego bait in the past, but can you just kind of describe the process of how you approached it?
Well, the way that we did it is like my buddy who I work with on the site, he was like a background is in like doing cold calls for different reasons. Like he does real estate. He did some stuff for like church organizations, like charity drives and whatnot. So his whole thing was like reaching out to people to try to get some sort of like charitable thing happening. Like at least for the charity stuff, not the real estate stuff, but like the charity stuff was essentially like contacting these sort of like organizations who I guess essentially like, maybe they don't get a lot of phone calls necessarily, but they're like important in the community and in the scheme of things. They're doing like good work. And so he was calling those people, and then we decided maybe to try to apply that to like our site in the sense of like picking companies or organizations, mostly nonprofits. They're doing work out there in the world, and it somehow ties to our site. And so we basically like hit them up and just say like, hey, we want to feature you in an interview, or we want to like writing an article about you. Would you be okay if you shared it with your community and stuff like that? And those people, because their sites are so like awesome to Google, because Google's just like, these are nonprofits, they're often government backed people, and they just don't get a lot of social media attention or whatever. And so here we are coming to them trying to like actually like the thing is you actually have to like connect with them and research them and then write about them or talk to them. But as a result, they share that article, and Google sees that, and then it starts to like associate you with those kinds of organizations, and that's where it starts to kick in.
How did you find these organizations?
Well, it's like you have to be sort of like comfortable with like searching on Google in a specific type of way, where it's like you just have to be good at like doing search queries or whatever. So like we were just looking up certain organizations in a certain region that did a certain type of work, and then they just start popping up. Like there's tons of them, really, like, and they're underserved as far as like people don't talk about them all the time. So when you connect with them, they're kind of like, oh, well, nice of you to connect with us, and it's nice that you care. And so then you actually, they're all over the place. It's just like you have to just sort of like use certain strings to find them.
Right.
But the key is to actually give a shit about them.
Right. A couple things. So you're talking about like advanced Google searches and looking for footprints. So, and I'll sort of contrast your model compared to what other people are searching for. So typically the outreach that we hear about, someone will tell you to look for like your keyword and then in quotes, right for us. That's a footprint that a lot of people search for. That's a really saturated channel because that's what everyone says to look for. They have a right for us page, so they get solicited all the time, like for people that want to do guest posts. So it's a very crowded channel. What you're looking for is like specific organization in a specific region, and they don't have any sort of like footprints that anyone else is looking for. They don't have a right for us page. They don't have guest posts on their site. And most of the time, it may be like 2 or 3 people as office staff, and you can like call them up, talk on the phone, email them, you'll get a response back right away, right? I mean, it's probably like quick turnaround times, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing, like just in a nutshell, say for instance, you have like a hunting site and you're like hitting up other sort of pseudo affiliates and other like influencers and whatnot. And like when you really could just go to the NRA and say like, not that you would hit them up specifically, but like something on a smaller level than them, maybe even them, just be like, hey, like I have a hunting site. I just did a guide to like, how to properly use your scope or whatever whatever. And then you talk to them and they're like, hey, I like the article. We're going to put it on our Facebook. Like, this is the fucking NRA. Like, not that, you know what I mean? So like that kind of thing makes a lot more sense to me because you're in your niche, but you're talking to the people that are like seriously in that world. They're not faking it at all. They're like they're the real influencers. It's not like just these people that have blogs. It's like, people that have been around for like 100 years or like maybe not 100 years, but like 20 years or something like that.
Gotcha. Now, when we're thinking about like this outreach, a lot of people are thinking, how can I scale this up? I want to send out a lot of emails as quickly as possible. How can I do that? Did you guys try and do that? Did you try and send out a ton of emails?
No, actually, basically we did the opposite. We hired this guy who's like, he works for us now. And I was kind of like, should we really hire this guy? Like, do we really need a guy on this task or whatever? And then he started doing it and like just paid him and just sort of like my friend was sort of on his case. I wasn't on his case. I just let him handle it. And he basically just sort of like got him to email a certain number of people a week, but it wasn't any huge number. It was just like specific people and like carefully worded emails. So then you get links, like it takes about a week or two to like, contact them, set up an article or an interview or something like feature. And then in the end, it's like 2 weeks later, you finish it, contact them, and you just say like, hey, like it's done. Like it's all been sort of like discussed with our guy and their people. And then it's slow, but it's like it works because it hasn't been rushed or anything like that. There's no kind of like, urgency to it. It's kind of like, we'll just, we're all kind of just working to achieve something. So, and it was a slow kind of drip thing, but like, we get like 2 or 3 links a month, and we've been doing that for like 3 or 4 months, and the results have been pretty good because that's when, once we had about 10 of these links, which were just kind of like with these organizations and stuff like that, we just saw the traffic to start to like climb at a really like weirdly rapid pace. And the domain authority on Moz was going up like weirdly as well. And I'm just like, this has got to be like a fluke or something. Like I couldn't understand why it was happening. Cause it's just like the other sites, we just post content and like try to SEO the content. But in this case, it like other things were happening.
And do you remember what the DA was before you started and then like what it is currently?
Yeah, it was like basically 15 in the beginning, and then it was like 42 by now.
Wow. And that's insane over just a couple months. But I mean, it goes to show like the quality of the links has like a huge impact on the and by the way, most of the time I tell people, don't like watch your who cares about your DA? Like it really matters. Like, are you getting good links? And like, are your rankings going up? Is the traffic going up?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you just want a number, like it's a good reference point.
I was not interested in hearing about the DA when my friend was talking to me about it. he's just like, hey, the DA is like 18, it's 19, it's 22. And I'm like, shut up. Like, I don't care.
Right.
And then eventually he's like, it's 30. I'm like, okay, wait a second, 30? This site is not, it's a pretty new site. And then when it got to like 35, I'm like, wait a second, like this is weird. Something's going on. And then traffic was sort of reflecting that too. So I'm like, could it be those like 10 links of these organizations? Like, could it be? And then I'm like, I don't know what else. Like, we've been like doing a lot of content. This is sort of what I would assume yeah.
All right. Well, any other tips on like running such a campaign?
Well, now that I've sort of gotten into it, I'm kind of like, I'm applying it to all my other sites like immediately, right? Because I wasn't doing outreach that way. I'm not very good at outreach in general, just because I don't know, like this method just works better for me because it seems a little more like wholesome or something. And the people that I'm finding in that type of outreach are like, for my different niches, I'm kind of actually interested in what they do. Once I like look at them, because I'm like, you have this site that's essentially like a lot of affiliate links and stuff, and then some info articles maybe. But this really, like, to me, makes it really legitimate because you're talking about, you're like, this conservatory over here or whatever, what other like affiliate marketers are going to take the time to actually like talk to some conservatory somewhere, you know what I mean?
I'm a proponent of like the high touch outreach where, you know, the more you interact with the blogger that hopefully you want to guest post with, like they're more likely to like accept your guest post and just be, you know, sort of friendly. And this is like a classic example. Like you said, it's like you're kind of helping the organization. I mean, they're getting more like recognition. They're getting, you know, from an SEO perspective, they're getting a backlink. But I mean, people are talking about their organization, and that's good for everyone that's involved in the organization. So
yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's going to take longer. You're going to have to be a lot more like intentional about like the emails you're sending and like the article that you're writing. Your site needs to be like respectable and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like you help someone, they're helping you out, and you know, it works. So
yeah.
Quick question. Do you like, when you write the article, do you specifically ask them to link to it, or do you just rely on them to do it on their own?
No, we do ask them for sure. In the process, it's kind of indicated in the beginning. I haven't been reading the emails we've been sending these people lately, but there is something, it's sort of like hinted at, and then basically like we come back around and ask for it later. Just like we see if they're open to it at least, and then once it's done, we're kind of like, yeah. Well, so, but we did mention there was like going to be we'd like to have a link if we possibly could. And I think that the point of it too, like there's a lot of benefits of this, but like you're making an article that you know that they'll want to link to for sure. So it's like based on who they are, like the way that they actually share things too. Like, so if you look at their Facebook and you're like, what kind of stuff do they share versus what kind of stuff do they not share? You know, it's like, you got to make that article shareable, at least to those people. That's basically the main goal, is to like, you don't really care if anybody else shares it. You do want them to share it though, for sure. And there's one more thing I was going to add to it. Oh yeah. Which is that like it also, like you were saying, you have to make your site respectable. And I think that's a good point, because a lot of affiliate sites really do look like affiliate sites, and it makes them look bad in a sense, because it's just like, you know, I see them like constantly where I'm looking up a topic, sort of like a niche topic, and it's just like, it's just all reviews and all just like sell. And you could never even have one of these articles on those types of niche sites, because they look so bad, as far as like, they're just so ham-fisted. It's like, you know, it makes me think that I have to like sort of make my site a little bit more respectable. Yeah. And just make it sort of like, it affects the type of content that I might create in general. Cause I'll be like, you know, before I put them, like before I have like 10 reviews in the recent, like say the recent post is just like all reviews. It's like, instead of just having reviews, I'm going to throw a few like more info posts in there to make it look at least a little more like I care about this topic.
Well-rounded. Yeah.
Yeah. Well-rounded. Exactly.
Cool. You know, I have a friend who, she has like her own personal brand. She's an author and stuff. And I was telling her, hey, you probably can like get a lot of Amazon affiliate traffic if you wanted to. And it took her a little while to figure it out, but she's been able to, you know, stay true to her authentic brand as, you know, as an author and all that stuff, and be respectable, be respected among her peers and all that, but also have, you know, some affiliate articles that specifically target like a buyer's keyword. And it's a matter of like having the right balance and just having like a good looking site and obviously care about it. So
yeah, it's like the total package thing, right? It's not just like, because you can be really good at the affiliate promotion side, where it's just like you're good at writing review articles, you're good at like targeting those keywords and stuff. But if that's all you do, I think, and I've suffered from that too. It just like it makes your site look like one big like sales page kind of thing, and then that doesn't work for this kind of outreach. Exactly, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, totally. So I think that wraps it up. And Dave, would you be able to maybe give us like a little bit of a template of exactly what is in one of those outreach emails, or some example or something like that?
Just like talk about it right now, you mean?
No, I mean like for people
Oh.
to like check out, like can we hook them up with a link or something like that?
Yeah, I can ask my partner to dig up an email, and I can just sort of like make it
Generalize it.
generic, and then we can post it.
Cool. Yep. And I'll place a link for that. I don't know what it'll be yet, folks, but I'll place a link in the description so you can get that template, see sort of like the process of sort of like what it looks like on Dave's side. Really appreciate that, Dave. I haven't seen a template like this out there. So
yeah, I don't even know what that template is at this point. It's like, I'm not even doing this. I'm letting him take care of this part, because I'm just like, well, he's your guy, just like you kind of keep on him. Like, I don't think people need two people to be harassing them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So before we jet, well, thanks, Dave. But before we jet, we plugged your YouTube channel last time. Is there something you're excited about that you're going to be publishing soon on the YouTube channel, or something people should definitely check out?
Yeah, like there's going to be, like, I'm always got a new album kind of in production, and that's like the case right now as well. I have some new songs coming out, so I try to put stuff on that channel a lot. So I would just say in general, that channel is like pretty active, and there's lots of stuff on it. So if you like music, that's my little baby over there. So you can check that out and comment if you so desire, and that would be great.
Awesome. And what kind of music is it?
There's a lot of different types, but there's like a lot of like electronic music. There's some rock music. There's even some like kind of weird kind of chiptune music, which is like retro video game style music, things like that, like experimental stuff. Like there's just a lot of weird stuff on.
Cool. So check out Dave's channel. Sounds very interesting. And of course, there'll be links for everything below, including, sort of a template and guide to do this sort of ego bait outreach.
I mean, ego bait, it sounds kind of like a weird term, but really it's just you're trying to like appeal to the person and like their cause, right? So it's like, that's how I would put it.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Dave, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, for sure. Take care.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Appreciate you taking the time. Everyone, don't forget there's 2 other videos in this series where we get an update from Dave in 2018, and then we hear about the issues he had with negative SEO. So don't forget to check those out, and have a look at Dave's channel as well. He plays cool music, so have a look.